Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Workflows and Espressos. I have another fun episode planned for today. I mean, they're always fun. Clark is not here this week. I wish he was, but I am I'm still feeling good about what we have to talk about either way. Which, speaking of what we have to talk about, two things. Number one, I was talking to Riley Goldman, who you guys know is a friend of mine today, and I said, "What do you think I should do today's episode on?" And he said, "I really want you to do an episode on AI as a tool and not as a replacement for human connection." And I thought that that was genius. So that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. And I can't wait to get into it and share all the thoughts and ideas and suggestions that I have, and also admit to you that I am someone who has become like creepily reliant on ChatGPT. So I get it. Like there is definitely a line, and I maybe I don't get it. I know there's a line, and there are certainly times where I almost have found that I'm using ChatGPT as more of a crutch and as a substitution for human connection, like even to draft a message that I really wish that I would have drafted myself. And it has been really helpful, but I even caught myself, and this is embarrassing to say out loud, a couple of days ago wanting to ask ChatGPT about officiating a wedding and like common things to say and like kind of the flow to follow. And then I found myself being like, this is bizarre. This is like something so personal. ChatGPT doesn't need to like tell me how the wedding like officiation, is that a thing, should go. Anyway, please don't judge me for that, okay? I'm being vulnerable here. And it was just interesting because I think that it is so available, and like I have the app on my phone, and a lot of times like I don't really Google things anymore. I use ChatGPT, and there are so many parts of my life where it does make it easier, but I often find it to be a little bit too much of a crutch. So I'm trying to be better at differentiating when I need to draw the line and when it is okay. Like, when is it freeing up my time for something more meaningful? Or am I distancing myself from interactions that are actually vital to my business and to me personally? So that that's that. That's what we're going to talk about today. Personally, I know you're dying to hear. We are less than 60 days out from my wedding, and you're probably wondering, Meaghan, what are we going to talk about once your wedding's over? Because it is all you speak of. And the answer is that I'm not sure. I'm going to have to plan a vacation that we have to talk about, or like maybe discuss my vowel, my vow renewal that will happen in like 10 years, or 20 years. It's never too early to start planning. I have my final dress fitting in New York City in 3 weeks, which is really exciting. I am in my fitness era still, so I've been working out a lot. Okay, this is funny, and this encapsulates, like, who I am as a person. We know that I'm an Enneagram 7, and I value human connection and conversation more than I value a to-do list or being on time a lot of my life, and I know that that is a really horrible quality, but it's something that I struggle with. Like, I will sit and talk to you about your personal life for 30 minutes, but then it will make me late to the next thing that I have to go do. So sometimes I can be accused of being a little all over the place. So today I had physical therapy. I've been having some issues with my knee and for approximately 3 years, and it's finally time for me to do something about it. So I had my first physical therapy appointment. I've never been to physical therapy before. I've never really, like, I didn't grow up doing sports. I'm pretty sedentary other than Pilates. So I show up and they're like, do you have your workout outfit and like tennis shoes? I was wearing jeans, a cardigan, and Birkenstocks. And I brought nothing else. So I had no shorts, and it was my knee that we needed to look at. And I also didn't have socks or tennis shoes. So that was embarrassing. And it was mainly because I was unprepared, but also then I rewind in my mind back to a conversation where I had when I made the appointment. Let's discuss. That was yesterday, the day before the appointment. And they told me to bring shorts and tennis shoes, and then I completely didn't. So that was embarrassing. I did the appointment with some shorts that I had to borrow. And so they were some unknown person shorts. And then also I did it barefoot since I had no socks or shoes. Anyway, my knee's doing better. She hooked me up to this machine called the Newbie machine and sent electrical currents all through my leg. Anyway, let's get into it today. Okay, enough about me. Let's talk about AI, which we have talked about a bit, but this is a new spin on things. And it's interesting because the last time we talked about AI was prior to the summer. And I think that I've learned a little bit more about it since then, and a little bit more about where that line is, even though I do still struggle with that. Let's unpack it. Setting the stage, automation is great. Like, I am the first person to tell you that efficiencies can be created with automation, and I am such a strong believer of that. But I also know that there is no replacing human touch, especially when we're talking about the guest experience and what makes our companies special in our industry and what sets us apart. And I feel strongly that we can't lose sight of what really matters, which is, we're here to create memorable experiences that are personalized for our guests. That is what makes us who we are. So as we're moving forward into this world that is so driven by AI, how can we make sure that we're using it wisely? And that's hopefully what I've crafted today. It's all about finding the balance. And I really want to get into guest interactions first, because I think that that is the piece that can be certainly made more efficient with AI, but requires the most amount of balance and human touch, and is not the place that we want to cut corners. And that kind of goes into like the heart of what we do is create these experiences for our guests. And whether you're running a vacation rental business or a hotel or a restaurant, guests are expecting real connections. And there is a reason why they choose a specific accommodation, right? And sometimes that is based on price, sometimes that's location. When you're me, a lot of the time, like, I'm booking based on service level. It is something I'm super passionate about. And it's just like when Clark is booking a restaurant, he wants to go somewhere with like the highest level of service. And it, of course, depends on your type of trip and what you're looking for. But I think service levels, no matter what type of price point you're at, are very important. Something that I have learned that I want you to take away is the importance of setting real human checkpoints after automated interactions. So let's say you have an automated response set up for any online inquiry you get about your properties, whether that is Verbo or your website or social media. As soon as a guest inquires and says, "Hey, is this property available?" You've got an autoresponder that goes in and checks whether or not the property is available and responds like, "Yes, this property is available. If you want to book, email this person, book online, or call us at this number." I always recommend a human follow up. So, whether that is a personalized email, whether the guest has booked yet or not, or a phone call if the guest inputs their phone number, checking in with them. Do you need anything else? Do you have any questions about the location? Do you have any specifics that you want to hear about the property or the amenities that it offers? Is going that extra mile. And I've read something where it said, where I've heard that you have to respond, or you should respond within 7 minutes of an inquiry to keep that guest engaged and wanting to book. And then it typically takes about 7 back and forth communications before they do book. And I think that that 7 is going down in terms of back and forth communication as people start to become more and more comfortable with direct booking and not wanting to talk to somebody on the phone. But nonetheless, I think that it is always so important to add that human level interaction after you have something that is immediate, especially like if somebody inquires and they get an automated responder because they inquired at 8 p.m. Having somebody call them or email them the next day or even text them and say, "Hey, I saw your inquiry. So excited. This property is incredible. Like, is there any questions that I can answer for you before you make your final decision?" I think just kind of goes the extra mile. And these checkpoints keep the experience human, even with that touch of automation that can make things easier. So, another example of this is like with a guest issue. And a lot of people have intercom or some type of AI solution set up via either a phone tree or some type of chat system where you can go online or text and it'll say, like, press one if it's an issue, press two if it's a new reservation. And you can kind of go through the tree. I find that if a guest, myself included, spends longer than like 5 or 6 messages through an automated tree, especially when there's an issue, there is like that is not okay. They're frustrated and it completely takes away the human element. So setting a baseline of I only want my guests to either get an automated text or email or web chat up to X number of times before I intervene. I would kind of recommend 3 to 4 just before you get even the hint of annoyance there. And obviously, you're always going to have people that immediately want to talk to a person, but just kind of create that baseline that allows, again, that efficiency, but also that element of human touch and just relationship building to kind of nip any frustration in the bud and make sure that things get resolved and you get the chance to hear any grievances that the guests might want to air. I think another idea of this is empathy training. And it plays such a huge role, especially when your team becomes more familiar with AI and automation, which I think is only going to become more of a problem as the months and the years go by. We can't expect AI to read emotional nuances like frustration or guest confusion, but your team can. And I think it is so crucial that your team knows how to step in and when to step in. And that AI can really only take you so far. And I think a well-trained team, like I always, when I think of incredible customer service, I always think about Chick-fil-A when I think of incredible customer service with just communication. They are quick, they're very, very efficient. I know AI has to play a role in their overall experience and like customer journey, if you will. But I think of their team and how they can de escalate issues and how they communicate with people and the phrases that they use that let you know that they care. And there is a reason why people love Chick fil A and consider it the gold standard of fast food. And that is always my goal when communicating with teams who are really on the front lines and communicating with guests. Efficiency is so important and can save you time, but the time that it should be saving you is the time that you should spend building actual relationships with guests, especially when they are spending a large sum of money and a week out of their year to spend with you. So, that's on the guest side. But I want to talk to you about where I think AI can shine, right? I'm kind of telling you places where you should remove AI, but there are so many places where I think it's necessary. And I feel like I've really honed this list in over the last couple of months. So I think workflows and automating initial responses, like we just talked about, and managing calendars are huge time savers. But what are places that you can enhance your guest experience with AI? So, pre arrival instructions and automating FAQs, I think, are huge. One thing that we do at Outpost, we have Know Before You Go, which is a little section on our website that explains things that you should know before you come to Jackson Hole. It is a unique community that has a very hyper local mentality, but we're also around 2 national parks, one of them being the first national park ever, and a lot of wildlife, and also really, really, really dangerously cold weather sometimes in the winter. So, all the things that we talk about and Know Before You Go is hey, if you want to come here and live like a local or treat locals with respect or treat wildlife with respect or the community, here's everything you need to know. And AI can help create these specific guest profiles based on the information that you provide it. Like it is such a great data analyst that you can have on your team, and you can input a spreadsheet or a PDF or a CSV file, whatever you want to do in, or even a screenshot into Chat GPT or another AI tool like Bard, and it can spit back hey, this is what I've gathered from this data. Here's some suggestions that I have based on this. Or, hey, can you build me a list of frequently asked questions of travelers that come to my area and answers in the tone of X? Ashley, welcome back. I can't wait to hear another In Haven insight. What do you have for us this week?
Hey, Megan. So, InHaven is a procurement platform dedicated to the vacation rental industry, and we work with hundreds of property managers representing thousands of listings. And one of the most common challenges we hear about is the difficulty in streamlining the number of products provided in linen programs, especially when space for storage is limited in your offices or your warehouses. So, property managers are constantly looking for ways to reduce the volume of items they need to keep on hand while still meeting their guests' expectations.
Ashley, this is one of the biggest questions and problems that I have faced when it comes to operations. So I am so curious, how is InHaven helping property managers address this issue?
Sure. So, one of our top tips is to avoid buying standard size pillows for twin beds. Instead, you can opt for queen size pillows, which can be used across your queen, full, and twin beds. And this simple switch can significantly reduce the number of items you need to purchase and store, eliminating the need for multiple sizes of pillows, pillowcases, and pillow protectors. It's really an easy and effective way to streamline your linen inventory while maintaining quality and comfort for your guests.
You are talking to somebody who worked for a company that only had king pillows for every single bed type just to help solve this problem. So I love this idea, huge proponent of it, and can say that it definitely works. So if people are interested to learn more, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so please do reach out to me at ashley@inhaven.com or visit our website. We love working with professional property managers to optimize their linen programs and storage strategies.
See you next week. I also think gathering guest preferences before they check in can be a great use of AI that gives you the opportunity to personalize their experience when they get here. So maybe it's as simple as asking if they'd prefer extra towels or, what kind of coffee they like stocked if you give them multiple options. But AI can collect all of these details so that when the guest arrives, like you can be responsible for personalizing and writing a handwritten note and providing that really cool personal experience. Also, I think using ChatGPT to track guest interactions over time to identify patterns. So, frequent guests, for example, like repeat guests are always hard to track, or the time of day that guests usually book, or guests with past issues who might need a special treatment or additional time spent on them, right? Like AI can flag these things for you that your team can act on. And so, I don't know, it's almost like using it as a checkpoint, and you still need to be the person at the checkpoint who's like giving the interview, if that makes sense. That was like a really bad metaphor. I'm usually better at those. But I don't know. I'm excited because I feel like I'm starting to learn a little bit more what it can help with versus what might be a little too much, and vice versa. When I'm not using AI at all and I really should be, which was me 8 months ago. So I hope that these can be helpful. And if you have any more, please share with me. And then issues that are escalating. And I think a lot of this goes without being said, but human touch always is necessary when issues are escalated. So whether it is a complication with booking or an issue when they arrive, while AI can handle like which bucket or queue an issue may need to go in, it is obviously of the utmost importance that a human immediately steps in. And the power that follow-ups have to ensure even after an issue is resolved that a guest is still happy, I think is something that isn't talked about enough. And we kind of toe this line all the time with guests choose to be in a vacation rental where they want this independence, but we also want them to know that we're here and can do anything that they possibly would ever need or could imagine. Well, I guess I won't say that, but you know what I mean. So I think that part of building this like brand and guest loyalty comes with knowing where that line is. And that line is also ever evolving in this like age of technology that seems to be changing every single night while we go to sleep and then we wake up to something new. I think that phone calls and even in-person meetings or like Robin Cragen meeting guests before they arrive, I think is great. And there are ways to collect guest preferences prior to them arriving so you know if they want to talk to you on the phone or if they want you to meet them at the property. But I love the idea of AI collecting preferences and then you acting on those preferences. Let's move into marketing a little bit. And AI has changed, not can. It has changed the marketing game. I freaking love AI when it comes to marketing, but I also think as with anything that there is this level of human touch that I appreciate and implement. So think of AI as handling like the grunt work, all right? So using it to break your customers into segments based on their behaviors, like how often they're booking or what types of properties or what location they prefer or the time of year they tend to travel. And then from there, running A B tests or using AI to create initial messaging or building call lists, for example, if you want to reach out to guests who have booked with you previously or inquired with you previously I think is a great, great use of the tool, which will save hours upon hours of your team's time or your time if you're the person doing it. And then using AI to draft different versions of your marketing emails, I find to be really great. So let's say you want to send an email about the upcoming holidays. I would go into ChatGPT and say, "Hey, give me an initial draft of 7 different emails that I could send for the holidays." I'll pick 2 and then run an A/B test and see which one performs better. And then, of course, like AI will send you a first draft, and I've never ever sent that out immediately, right? Like there are so many aspects of humanity that you want to include in that prior to sending it out to your database. But sometimes, like writer's block is very, very real, and getting the idea or the creative juices flowing can be hard. And so I think it's always great to kind of have it as a jumping off point. And it's always all about leveraging this data that AI can parse out and provide you to inform you about your marketing strategy that I think is really, really cool. And then even give you ideas on how to do it. And then it's your responsibility to execute that in a meaningful way. So I want to talk about human touch in marketing too, because I think that marketing and honestly, like revenue management is something now where these two departments are almost like moving toward this fully automated sector of the business. And I don't really love that because I'm just a proponent that every single part of our business can have an element of human touch that makes it better like heartfelt messages, right? Like AI can't write a personalized welcome note to your team. AI can't write a personalized recommendation for a guest's week in town that makes a customer really feel seen. They can start this process, but they can't send it with the exact message that makes it sound like it comes from you. A handwritten note, a personal email stands out in a world full of automated emails when it seems like that's all we're getting. So, if you are a property manager, and I'm sorry to all my supplier friends who are listening, I love you all, you know this, but I have never and will never respond to an automated supplier email. And we know conference season's coming up, so we're about to start getting a million of them. But I will respond to a personalized email from a supplier 9 times out of 10. And you can tell the difference. It is very, very clear. And the same is true on the guest end, right? Like, remember how you feel as someone who is receiving it, and then make sure you're providing what you want when reaching out to guests. I think testing can be used here too. Like, why don't you try reaching out directly with a special or reaching out to your customers directly who have booked with you more than 2 times or who spend X amount of dollars with you every single year? Send them a personalized note. Say thank you. Say that you're excited to welcome them back and you want to offer them a discount or an offer or whatever. This will take time, of course, but the payoff and loyalty and brand image and recognition it pays off in dividends. I think the takeaway from this is that authenticity in marketing is non negotiable ever. People are bombarded by messages every single day. So when something feels genuine, it breaks through that noise and it stands out in your inbox. And that is where the human touch is so cool. And AI can always, always tell you what worked in the past and what your data looks like, but it's up to you to craft that message in a way that resonates deeply with your customer. Today's episode was short and sweet, but I want to recap for you. Okay. let's run it back. Let's run it back a little bit. AI. Okay? Here's where I think you should be using it. Scheduling your calendar appointments, giving a quick pass through and overview of the data that you should be looking at, answering basic customer questions, drafting a V1 of a first marketing email, segmenting your database, helping you A B test. AI can easily handle these tasks without needing a lot of input from you. And that is going to allow you to focus on higher level decision making. You can also use it as a knowledge base for your company so that any commonly asked questions can be answered instantly, kind of freeing your time up from having to respond to the same inquiries over and over and over and over again. I think that AI can be helpful in the recruiting process to help you build out a job posting or a job description, or even help you do like a V1 screening for candidates. But if you hear nothing else, TLDR, remember AI is a complement and not a replacement. Period. Dot. When in doubt, always ask yourself, is this a task that could benefit from automation, or is this something that requires human touch? Let's discuss human touch, TLDR. When a guest has a complaint or an issue, develop that frame of time that you want to allow automation, whether that is 0 back and forth messages, 1, 2, 3. Develop that level of time that you want them to experience that communication with AI or a chatbot or whatever that looks like for you and your company, and then step in. Make sure that you're developing a follow-up system for any autoresponders that you have where a human is reaching out after the fact and making sure that a guest is pleased and happy and doesn't need anything else. And then anything on the marketing side that you want to use to have more customer retention and loyalty. So those personalized follow-ups and calls and thank you notes and Christmas gifts to those really loyal guests. And the same is true for on the owner side as well. Use these examples of meaningful connections to build your brand loyalty. And if you remember nothing else, AI is a tool. Okay. We're saving time over here, people. We becoming more efficient, all right, while we go build relationships and while we solve high level problems and develop strategy and we make sure that our guests and our owners feel valued. Make sure that you're using AI, all right? Don't get me wrong. We should all be using it, taking advantage of the age that we are in now, which is incredible. And I'm so, so, so grateful for and has saved so much time. But remember that human touch is irreplaceable. And above all else, thank you so much for tuning in for another week. I love it here with you in this platform. And I just want to say that I was appointed to the board of directors for VRMA, starting my term on November 1st, and I could not be happier. I'm so excited. And thank you to everybody who voted. If you voted for me or if you didn't vote for me, I'm just glad that you voted. And I think that VRMA is at this pivotal point, and the thought of being a part of contributing to positive change is just like it. I'm over the moon about it and so grateful. And I feel really young, and I have imposter syndrome all the time. And so to feel like my voice could be heard and make a difference, and I get to sit at a table with some of the brightest people in the industry is just so, so, so meaningful to me. So I can't wait for this next 2 years, and I'm so excited, and I hope to see you all at Verma International next month in October. And also, I can't wait for next week's episode. I have so much fun with you. So thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to see you soon. Bye.